Hey guys, it's Daryl.
And Aaron.
All right, so guys, we're on day 7 or 11 day Panama Canal Cruise.
Gosh, how can it be that long?
It seems like time's flying by.
It does.
But we have had an incredible amount of fun. The excursion we've done thus far, the sea days, all of that's been a lot of fun. And so where we're at today is we basically got up about 7 o'clock and we heard the thrusters going. So that meant that the boat or the ship was docking at Puerto Limon, Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. All right, so this is our stop for the day.
Yep. So hearing the thrusters and our alarm clock going off at 7, it was time to head over to the Garden Cafe.
Of course.
And grab a good breakfast because the fun was about to begin.
And just important, there's a couple other restaurants you can go to get breakfast. But it's a sit down and order kind of thing, so we just kind of like to hit the old buffet, and you walk right up, grab your food, sit down, eat, you're ready to go do your excursion for the day.
And it's not a set menu. You can eat as little or as much as you want. Now the regular restaurants, you can ask for more food if it says an egg omelet, you can have 2 egg omelets. You can ask for it, but you have to order. They bring it to the chef. They have to cook it. Then it comes it's already done at the Garden Cafe. It's buffet style and it's quick and easy. So when you need to get to your excursion, or if you're just exhausted after your excursion, it's quick and easy. You grab what you want. You sit at the table, or you can bring it to your cabin and eat it.
And bring it to any various place, all the way to the back of the ship on the side. Different places, not a big deal. No. They don't have a problem with that. No. You just got to grab some silverware if you're not going to be around the eating area.
Yes.
But and again about the buffet is it does have a good cover. So it's not like some buffets you're kind of scared. Maybe that food's not that good or not.
Or fresh.
It's been sitting there cooking for a long time. No, you have such quantity of people going through. Mm-hmm. They're constantly replacing with fresh food.
Yes.
So it's not really a big issue like in some types of buffets you may go on the mainland, let's say.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about our stop today. And again, this is Puerto Limon, Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. And so we basically headed off the ship after we ate.
About 8:15ish.
Yep. And as you exit the gangway, you start walking down the dock, and it's not very far, and you end up going. You're introduced to Costa Rica or Puerto Limon. There's a band right there as soon as you kind of come out off the dock, playing some calypso music, and man, they were absolutely good. And they're actually singing to you as you're walking by, which is kind of fun.
Yep, they're singing some kind of welcome song, welcoming you to Puerto Limon and Costa Rica, getting you in the vibe.
Absolutely. So, kind of walked through that, and there were buses parked. Sorry, I used my hands a lot. The buses were parked, and we found the sign. They hold up signs saying what the excursion is. And our excursion today was, what was it called?
It was the Cultural Journey and Soul Food Delight.
Yes, it was. And so, person holding the sign up said, "All right, that bus over there." So he went and hopped on the bus.
Yep. So it is a 4-hour excursion. So we're very thankful we had a little bit of breakfast in us. And so he did point out our bus to us, but we did take time there. Had several signages welcoming you to Puerto Limon, so we took some photo ops, but
took some selfies, looking back at the boat behind us, as well as the signs Puerto Limon. So
everybody, that was our meeting spot. So on previous excursions, there was a meeting point on the ship. This was the first time it was on the port. 8:30, we were out to board the bus, and we boarded it.
Yeah, and just to kind of add to what Aaron said, just a reminder that a number of these excursions, when you're sitting in a room on a ship, and they say, all right, itinerary or excursion number 1, 2, 3, 4, you can go to the 4th deck and go through the gangway at that point. Again, this was a little different and that and they told you what bus you were going to be on the ship.
Yes.
This was a little different, and it's not as it didn't require anything. A little more comprehensive. You walk off the dock, and there's some guys with the sign saying this is what the excursion is. It was a very simple process today.
Yep. So it was very nice. Everybody got on the bus. It was a pretty full bus. You're never sure with your excursion. Once you book it, you're not sure how many fellow excursion passengers you'll have with you. So, but it was one bus today.
But I think there's only one seat maybe in the very back behind us.
Yeah.
Like literally one seat, so it was a completely full bus.
So our friendly tour guide, Christopher, he couldn't have been better, greeted us. So welcome to Puerto Limon, Costa Rica. We're about to have some fun, and let's get it going.
Yeah, so one thing they talked about was they kept saying Pura Vida. And that's a phrase that the people in Puerto Limon and Costa Rica use from welcoming or greeting and just having general conversation when you come, talking to people. And the Pura Vida basically means what?
Pure life.
Pure life. So that's kind of their thing there that they again say to each other, and it just kind of shows the kind of culture and things that they do there, and it's a very refreshing type of thing. So
yeah, we had a very short drive, so about 8:45.
Yeah, I mean it was like 15
minute drive.
10-minute drive.
Maybe 10-minute drive.
Yeah.
Our bus stopped, and we all got off the bus in a square, an area. What did he say? It was one of 6 or 8 in part of Puerto Limon. It was divided in like 6 to 8 sections, and so we got off. The street was very colorful.
Yeah,
every
that was what was
square
Yeah.
was of a color. I mean, you had yellow,
They had
blue,
maybe
green.
10 feet by 10 feet squares, and there was like, I don't know, 4 or 6 in this avenue, and then there was another row. It almost looked like a gigantic chessboard, but using colorful paint. So it's really, and that is characteristic of a lot of Caribbean countries. St. Croix, where we lived for a little while, you see different colors, and that's just again characteristic.
Yeah. So he started right off, right there at the corner. He was showing us different stores and stuff. He explained how they were from many cultures. They were it's a very diverse area. Everything from European, Spanish, Mestizos, African,
Mestizos.
Chinese descent.
Yeah, there was like 40+% Chinese living in Puerto Limon.
So some of the storefronts, you could tell by the pictures and the names how heavy Chinese influence.
Yeah, but like I said, African. There was a number of different varieties of people from background all together in this kind of melting pot. So that was again refreshing as well.
The interesting thing was less than 1% was actually indigenous people.
Yeah. So there was another percentage, I don't remember exactly the number, but that were indigenous, but that had married, right, with Europeans or African, Caribbean island, those kind of things. So pure blood indigenous, they were saying it was less than 1%.
The other really interesting fact for me, working in schools for quite a while, the high literacy rate, they require their children.
This is crazy. Listen to this.
So it's the highest literacy rate in the Western Hemisphere.
That's correct.
They require their kids from a young age all the way to college to attend school. They start off, I believe he said, about 7 in the morning, and they do not finish till 5.
Yeah, it was 7 or 7:30, and what he said was in the morning they do sports or activities, things of that nature, whether it be soccer, baseball, basketball, whatever it may be. They do some kind of sports in the morning, and then they do their studies, after lunch for sure. But they stay there till 5. So, and we passed one of their schools, and saw a number of kids out there all in
uniform.
Yeah, in uniform.
White
and all that stuff.
shirts and navy or kind of a plaid bottom. So.
Yeah, but Christopher was very proud. Now, he originally is Jamaican, and his mom married someone that was from Costa Rica, I believe. And but they are very proud in Costa Rica about that literacy rate.
Yes.
They put a heavy focus on education in the country. So I think that's pretty cool. And the results will serve for itself, right? Another interesting fact about Costa Rica is a number of years back, they used to have an army, a military force. Then they had a separate police force. And so what they decided to do from the government standpoint, they decided that they didn't need the military side of it. So they actually disbanded the military, the army, let's say, and it would still have the police force. But then they used all the money that they were using, the millions and millions of dollars they were using for military purposes, and invested that back into the communities, back into the education system, and that kind of thing. So just kind of an interesting fact. They do not have a military. They do have a good police force. And we met a couple of them as we were going through and doing our tour. So just thought that was an interesting fact as well.
Yep. We did end up, part of our walking tour was an art museum.
Yeah, so we did, one of the first places we stopped at was it was kind of like an artisan art museum. So they had different art that was up that kind of represented the culture and the life at Puerto Limon in Costa Rica. But they also had areas where artisans can go and paint, so they kind of go there to do their thing, do their painting thing. And
it was really neat.
Yep.
There was a lady there with her young son, and he had his little pop-up book. When you open it up, things would pop up, and she was setting up to paint for the day, and she was very friendly. We actually talked with her for a little bit. Yeah,
and I think the little boy had a little notebook, and I think at one point she was fussing at him for, I think he had to do some homework or something. So, but so we went around, looked at all this art, and it was really beautiful. I mean, it was some really nice handmade stuff that was for sale as well. They did actually have one exhibit, I guess you'd call it that.
Yes.
That was interesting. You want to describe that?
A particular room. So banana production is a major export resource.
Correct.
So it was a focal point of one particular area in the art museum. They had paintings. They actually had an exhibit with dried banana peels.
It was interesting. It was, maybe 12 foot long, 15, 12 foot long. And they had placed bananas in kind of a design and let them dry.
So I did actually take a picture of it, and I always view my pictures. So when I looked at it, it actually looked like a body, the arms, the body, and the legs. So it was interesting. I'm not sure if that's what they meant to do, but that's what it looked.
Yeah, I didn't see it when I walked by and filming it and looking at it. But nevertheless, so again, we kind of went through that area, and beautiful work.
And learned a little bit about the transportation. Didn't they say something about the railroad?
Yeah, so the way the railroad was eventually built is interior into Costa Rica, into the country. The banana production, obviously, if you had a railroad, you could haul more bananas out, get them to ships, and get them to the market, whether it be United States or wherever, much quicker if you had a railroad versus wagon or whatever you're doing to try to get that stuff out. And so an investor came in and said, look, I plan on growing some coffee in the interior. I'll build this railroad for you, and I'll haul your bananas out, but I'm also going to haul my coffee beans out. And so I guess an agreement was reached. They built the railroad, and so that really nailed down the number one and number two primary exports of resources from Costa Rica, which is bananas, as Aaron mentioned earlier, as well as coffee.
I just remember Christopher saying, bananas need coffee, coffee need bananas.
Absolutely. So together they're the leading resources exported. All right, so after we kind of left the Artisan Center, we walked down the street there, and we entered into what I call a square, although it was rectangle. But it was it's called Parque Vargas.
And that's actually right there at the corner where we met the policeman. They walked out to the road, stopped traffic, and that's where we crossed.
And it's interesting. That's how much tourism means to them. So this group of us who walked up, he instantly stopped traffic and chatted a little bit with one of them, and went ahead and got on the other side of the street where the park was. And so we started talking a little bit about different trees and things like that. We noticed there was a number of trees that had white paint on them on the base. So maybe like, I don't know, 3-4 foot high, something like that. And somebody asked Christopher why that's on there, and he basically indicated that it helps deter bugs or pests from crawling up on the trees. But there was another interesting point that he said.
Yep, if you notice one of the trees painted white close to the street, that means no parking.
Go figure that. I guess they want to put a no parking sign, so people just are supposed to know if there's a white painted tree next to the road, right next to it, you can't park there.
Nope.
Okay, so after we looked at that, it was kind of interesting, but this whole park was full of just beautiful trees in a rainforesty type of environment, although they kept the grass, down. So all of a sudden we were walking down, and they say, "Oh man, there's a sloth up there." And so Aaron and I and the whole group, kind of goes over to that area. And Christopher had one of those laser pins.
With a green light.
Yeah, so he kind of showed where it was. And man, there was a sloth up in the tree, hanging upside down. It was about 20 foot up in the tree. And just resting away, hanging upside down.
And it was the two-finger sloth.
That's correct. It's a two-finger sloth. And ended up seeing 2 more in just different positions, all up in them trees right there. Pretty cool. Never seen a live sloth before, so got some really good pictures and video of the face of the sloths, which was kind of cool.
So it also had statues and historical plaques that was very prevalent to Puerto Limon or Costa Rica.
Yeah, so we did walk around and take a look at some of the statues, and there was plaques on different things, and a lot of it was in Spanish, so was not able to read all of it. We can read certain words, I guess, but we couldn't read the whole thing. But what we knew though is we planned on going back there before we boarded on the boat, so we stayed up with the group, and what we did at that point, we went ahead and boarded the bus again. And we headed out of town along the coast to Reina's, I guess is the way you pronounce it, right?
That's the best I can do.
Reina's Bar and Restaurante. And it was at a pretty white sand beach. And there we weren't hungry at the point. And later on in the excursion, we knew we were going to have something to eat, so we didn't eat there. But you were able to walk the beach, beautiful beach, and
so the beach was actually called Playa Bonita, which means it's Spanish for rich coast.
For rich coast, yeah.
It was very pretty. We actually had some surfers out there. So there was a little bit of waves out there. People were out there enjoying themselves, and we were able to grab a drink.
Yeah, so grab a few beverages, just relaxed out there. It's really hot during the day, but this particular area, or at least this part of the day, it wasn't super hot. We were able to get into a shaded area and just kind of lime out there and enjoy the area and the ambiance of that area. So.
Yeah. And I had a choice of several local beers, and there had some non-local, but
yeah, I had an Imperial. I guess it was regular Imperial, and then there was another Imperial Silver. And so tried some local Costa Rican beer, cerveza. It was good.
So we had a little less than an hour there to rest and relax, enjoy the shade, grab a beer, and there was a drink. They didn't have it, but Christopher said if we had a chance, it was called
Coco Loco. and basically coconut water and rum. So pretty good stuff. We never tried because we weren't ready to get loco on the excursion, right? All right, so at that point we reboarded the bus, headed back toward the city. All right, so leaving the beach scene there, we were on the way, and we kind of went through a rainforesty area. And look, just right along the side of the road, there was 2 different kinds of coconuts. There's actually a yellow coconut. I didn't know that. But you could just see on the side of the road all these different trees or all these different plants. There was what?
There was a yellow coconut and a green coconut. There was
bananas growing,
and mango.
And again, it's just on the side of the road.
It is.
Now, what Christopher said is that basically everybody, because you're in this tropical kind of zone, you can grow things year round. You don't really have a freeze hit, and so it's real common. Most everybody in Costa Rica has their own backyard garden, which may include Scotch bonnet peppers, but things like bananas and mangoes and all that kind of stuff.
So lots of in their backyards, lots of fruit trees, vegetables. He said, why go to the supermarket to try and find? You have your own vegetable garden and fruits in your backyard. You just walk out and pick them.
Fresh and organic.
Fresh and organic.
Look, now Christopher, while we were on the bus, he basically started talking about the cacao, or I call it cocoa, but cacao pods and the seeds. And so he had one that was open, and what do you do?
So he walked throughout the bus, and if you chose to, you could grab one of the seeds. And from what I understand, he said they fermented it.
Yeah, they ferment it for like 7 days before they actually take the seed out of the pod.
So you were able to actually taste it. So he don't chew the seed, but there was a flesh. I guess
it's kind of a white flesh membrane kind of between seeds.
And it was actually very sweet.
Very sweet. It was good.
It was very good. So we were able to have a sweet treat before.
And the problem is if you bite into it, though, is it's very, very bitter. And remember, chocolate is naturally very, very bitter. And so these cacao seeds are very, very bitter, so you don't want to bite into them. And we stopped where?
So we stopped at the House of Culture, where we were greeted by some calypso dancers. And we were escorted into a theater and got our seats.
Yeah, but right before, as we were coming in, they did give us water bottles, which was really cool. We needed some water at that time. And they did have, looked like it was 2 figurines, I guess, big, huge ladies, I guess, that were costumed out. And if you've ever been to Mardi Gras, you would know what a Mardi Gras float looks like. So they got different kind of characters on there. This is what it looked like. They grabbed some heads off of a Mardi Gras float. You put it there, so it's probably part of their festival or carnival, whatever they want to call it here. And so we took some pictures with that too. But yeah, so we went ahead and went in, got into the theater. And what happened next?
So we were greeted by an MC, or he
had the gift of gab.
He did. He was fun, and again he went through their same Pura Vida. And just very friendly, upbeat. He wanted us to have a good time, and introduced us to some beautiful ladies that did calypso dancing along with the calypso band.
That's right. So they basically went over 2 or 3 or 4 songs, dancing to the music. A lot of fun. It's traditional calypso dancing or Costa Rican type of dancing. And it was really entertaining. At one point, though, for their last dance, they kind of came down from the top. They had snuck around on us and came down and started picking people to go join the dance. And next thing I know, thank God it wasn't me, but Aaron got picked.
I blame Christopher.
Yeah, we had talked with Christopher, and we had spent a number of years in St. Croix. and very similar experiences in terms of Caribbean
culture and everything, the vibe,
Yeah.
it was the same.
So I'm sure that he told them to pick Aaron. I told him not to pick me because I can't dance, but anyhow, so they picked Aaron, and they picked a number of other people. We brought them out on the stage, and they did a traditional calypso dance, and Aaron joined in and did her thing, and it was a lot of fun. It was more fun for me because I was not on the stage. Nevertheless, so we went through all that process, and that was a lot of fun, and we headed to the next spot.
So that was a great experience at the House of Culture, but the fun continued. We boarded the bus and headed for a very short distance to what was a historic fruit company.
United Fruit Company.
Mm-hmm.
And this was the guys who, over the many years, had grown and exported all the bananas. And so they had this nice little building, 2-story building, in downtown Puerto Limon, and so that was our next stop. And the company there now is now called the G&E Chocolate Adventure Company, and that's where we stopped at to do the next part of our excursion. All right, so as we kind of entered into the G&E Chocolate Adventure building, they had a couple employees that were giving us, it was like a cocoa or cacao seed that also had either
Had several
different coverings, whether it be coconut, whether it be caramel, and you just throw it in your mouth and chew on it, and man, it's pretty good.
So it was almost like a dried cacao seed.
Yeah.
So it was crunchy, but it was dried.
And it wasn't very bitter at all.
So I had the ginger. And
Yeah, how was that one?
that was very good. You had a spicy one.
Yeah, I had a spicy cacao. And they were good. So, head up the stairs to the rest of our excursion activities. And old George there, he had a kind of a bar front that he was able to talk about some of the different foods they have there. Remember, part of this is the old soul food. It's part of the name of the excursion. So what did we do there?
So as he said, we headed upstairs and we got to meet George, who's the owner of the chocolate company.
Yeah, so he basically introduces, he had a nice little setup, just kind of a little bar area. He had a couple of drink fountains where he had, kind of cacao
Chocolate.
milk, and I want to say it was soursop juice. Yeah, which we've had before, which is cool. We hadn't had that in a long time. So George was a very interesting guy. He had worked in marketing in Costa Rica for various big, international companies. And he said he had that experience enough. He was wanting to do some things locally in the community. And so he started up this G&E Chocolate Adventure Company. And what was also interesting is he's also on the town council. He had just run and got elected on the town council, and his big motivation was to try to, or big selling point was to try to get all the local agriculture or farmers get a better price for their crops. And it was, so he was kind of doing it from a philanthropic orientation, trying to help the local community and those agriculture farmers be able to do better. So it's kind of interesting. He was on the town council too.
Yeah. So the first thing, George, he asked for 2 volunteers, and before Daryl could get his hands up, 2 gentlemen raised their hands.
Yeah, that was bad.
They were able to head up, and so there was 2 things that they were going to demonstrate how to make a pate, which is a meat patty. And then there was the plantain tart.
And he called it plantain tarte. Plantain tarte.
But the dough that for both of them was the same dough. He just separated in half. So he gave us all the ingredients of how to make it.
It's basically lard, flour. I mean, that was the main ingredients.
And so he showed him how to flatten it, got the meat ingredients, put it on there, was able to fold it, showed him how to seal it, and for both of them. It was interesting for the pate. You take a knife and do your little holes for steam.
Well, actually, the pate, he did the fork.
The fork, sorry,
Yeah.
not a knife.
In 4 spots, so it will release a little bit of steam, potentially keeping it from bursting open.
And for the plantain tart, little scissors, and you snip it and make little slits. Which the plantain, for whatever reason, they
Traditionally, he said this.
they made they put red and
Red food
coloring in
yeah.
it, and it actually made the tart turn kind of light red.
And where the slits were cut is where the fruit or the plantain leaks up, right? So you can look at this tart and know, I thought it was a cherry. It could have been a cherry or strawberry tart because it's red fruit kind of leaking out of those seals. So,
But also was a good visual because, the beef was, more of a meat based, and you had your sweet, so it was savory and sweet.
Yeah.
Difference was very visual too. So that was the first things, and like I said, we got to taste. They passed around each for you to taste.
Yeah, and so the next part of it was kind of cooking demonstration. He talked about rice and beans, and in the Caribbean and a lot of countries, rice and beans is a very common lunchtime, especially part of your meal.
You mentioned Louisiana too.
Yep. What do you say about Louisiana?
That they partake in red beans and rice.
Yeah. So we do red beans and rice in Louisiana, along with sausage or andouille usually, and some hot sauce usually. But nevertheless, so he talked about how he makes his Costa Rican type of rice and beans. Yeah. So basically, he demonstrated how he had some coconut pulp, right? The meat inside of a coconut, and they could buy that there. And you basically, it's pretty fresh, so you can actually squeeze it, and you would see the white coconut water coming out, or coconut milk, whichever way you want to call it. And he mixed a little water with it, and he basically just kind of kept working it. And you can just use a can of coconut water or coconut milk as well. And he uses that to cook the beans, right? So instead of just putting just plain water, he uses coconut water. And once he cooks the beans, he kind of sets it to the side, and he takes the leftover water liquid from cooking the beans, which is basically coconut water, and then uses that to cook his rice. So it kind of gives it a different flavor than, say, just using water. So it's a substitute, adds more flavor to his rice and beans. Now, what he also did, though, is when he mixes the beans and the rice together. That's a little different than, say, St. Croix, and different from like Louisiana as well. But he actually mixed it all together, the rice and the beans, and he cooks it a little bit longer with a Scotch bonnet pepper set right in the middle on top.
A whole one.
A whole one, I'm sorry, yeah, it's not cut up. So it's still a firm Scotch bonnet pepper, which those can get pretty hot. And but he leaves it on top. Then he puts some bay leaves with it as well, and fresh bay leaves and thyme. And he cooks that, and basically the Scotch bonnet pepper doesn't burst, hopefully.
Yes.
And it just adds a different flavor profile without adding, it adds a little heat, right? But it's more about adding flavor to the rice and beans. And so it's just a tip. Making rice and beans, you can use a Scotch bonnet pepper. You're worried about how hot it may be. We're not going to cut it up and put it in your rice and beans. You just put it on top, and it'll transfer some flavor to your rice and beans. So
Yeah,
a little different setup. So.
Yeah, so you leave it on top, so when you stir, you actually pick the Scotch bonnet up, stir your rice and beans, because you don't want it to pop or burst, and then you put it back on on top. So it does give a tad bit of heat, but nothing too much.
Yeah, so that was an interesting experience. I do rice and beans differently myself, and a lot of other experiences the same. But like I said, he mixes his all together. But the coconut water is a great idea to use that instead of just plain old water, and it just gives additional flavor to the dish.
Yep.
And we actually got to sample.
Yes, so
Some of that.
they were making the bowls, so they scooped out the rice and beans, and then added a little extra on top. They put on some plantain chips.
And
on
some
top of
breadfruit chips.
Some breadfruit chips.
So it was tasty. That was kind of the conclusion of that cooking demonstration.
Yep. And so there and there, of course, he had any of the products that he used. You could buy. There was some coffee pouches because Costa Rica is known for their coffee, and a lot of the hot sauces that he makes and things like that. So
Faya.
Yep.
F-I-H-Y. No, F-I-Y-H.
F-I-Y.
F-I-Y-H. Faya.
So that basically that ended our excursion. It was very enjoyable, very informative. I think Christopher made
He made the
the
trip.
excursion.
And I will tell you, there was 2 tour guides. Christopher and another guy. Do you remember his name?
I do not. There was about 40 something of us, so they split us in 2 groups. The other group went with the other tour guide, and we had Christopher. I don't know anything about the other guy, but I just know we enjoyed Christopher. He was very.
The first time Christopher said, "Yo, man." Yeah, man. We knew that was who we wanted to be with. It would remind us a lot of our time in the USVI. So.
Yeah. So at that point, we had the choice of going back on the bus and heading to the port.
Which was not far away.
But we chose not to. So we said goodbye to Christopher, and we moved on. And that's when we actually went back to the park.
Parque Vargas.
Parque Vargas.
Yeah, we went. There was a couple things we wanted to go ahead and film that we weren't able to get a good look at, and so we kind of walked around, did that, and.
Okay.
All right, so once we finished the Parque Vargas filming, we went across the street.
Yes.
And that was where?
Right by the water.
Yeah, so the shoreline right there, there was black coral, which they said was basically dead coral. There was no sand. It was not a beach, but it was the oceanfront right there, shoreline. And there was a kind of big concrete structure, and I have no idea what it was. But again, like a lot of Caribbean locations, it was colorful. It was painted, and it was just kind of cool to see.
Yellow, and orange and green.
And so we went in and took a little bit of video and some pictures there. That was pretty cool. Spent a few minutes talking with a couple that had been on the gym and their experiences, and they had actually did they just kind of found somebody to go do a little tour.
Yeah, they hired a taxi for about 2 hours.
Yeah, so again, that's just a hint to talk about. You can do excursions outside of using NCL or whatever your cruise line is. There's a little risk with that, depending upon is there a guarantee you're going to get back in time. In this tour, he said that his little tour was 1 or 2 hours, so it wasn't any problem. And there's not a lot of crime and concerns around that,
right?
At least in Puerto Limon. So it was a safe way to go. He wanted to go do a little touring, safe way to do that. So just interesting talk, and that's really fun part of doing these kind of travels is to meet people, and learn, discuss things that you didn't know or what you know, and help each other out from understanding the best way to do travel and things of that nature.
Yeah. So by this time it was about 1:30, and we needed to head back to the boat, or wanted to head back to the boat. So in order to do that, we had to cross the street, and wouldn't you know it, there was a souvenir market.
Yeah, there was lots of stalls. There was probably 4 or 5 rows of maybe 15 across. Lots of souvenirs, and some stuff was, there was some nice stuff. There was your typical cheap magnet,
We bought one, so be careful.
And there were some just kind of cheap refrigerator magnets. And there were some, reasonably cheap merchandise. Some like refrigerator magnets of Costa Rica. But hey, I think we bought one, so still cool, something to have, something to remind us of our times in Costa Rica. And we ended up getting, I think I got a hat.
You got a hat?
And you got
I got a nice wooden box that had a sloth on top, and it actually said
not a real sloth.
Had Costa Rica. That's, I don't know why. That's what I was looking for. A little wooden box I can keep treasures in. So I'm happy.
And we don't mind purchasing something from one of these shops. I mean, these are people that are trying to make money, make a living. So we feel like it's good to go ahead and at least do something and help them out and help us out at the same time, have some souvenirs.
Yep. So it was time to head on to the boat. So it was not far from the Souvenir Market.
Yep.
Head that way, and we're greeted by our welcoming band.
Yeah, they remember they were the welcoming band. Now they were saying goodbye, thank you.
So again, helping.
They were I'll say, I mean, that's the songs they were singing, welcoming to us and sending us, thanking us for coming, playing a song.
So we, as we were passing by, they were singing goodbye, goodbye, and Daryl went to give them a tip, and I got to join them and grab a set of maracas. So I got to go on stage with them, enjoying the fun.
Right. So, and there were a couple other things. There was a boat that was kind of down there, 100 yards to the left. That is part of there. I guess there's a traditional boat that they use there. So we kind of went and took little photos of that, and about 2 o'clock, pretty much headed on and got on the boat, or the ship, shall I say?
The ship, yeah, yep. And so we headed directly to our cabin. Decided to drop things off.
We had our backpacks, so we're carrying. I have my camera with a long zoom lens, and backup batteries and stuff for the. For our DJI video deal, and just stuff that you may want to have. So we both had backpacks, and we dropped that stuff off.
Yep. So it was a fun day, tiring day, but so we decided to go to one of our other fun spots that we like to visit, the atrium, and grab a drink.
And just kick back, and they got these really relaxing chairs. Just kick back and rest, watch people. Drink a beverage or two.
Yep, and we kind of walked around, explored the ship a little bit.
But tonight was one of our special dinner nights.
So specialty restaurants.
And so with the package, if you look at NCL, the package that we got allowed one specialty dinner.
It was called Free at Sea.
Free at Sea, and you got one specialty dinner as part of the package. You can go to any of the specialty, not complimentary, but the specialty restaurants. We got the one that was part of our package. If we went to a second one, that would be, you'd have to pay for that, basically. Mm-hmm. And it's like going to any, not fancy, but any special restaurant. So just expect that. You can pre-buy additional specialty restaurants, and we just had this one, and we decided to go ahead and take advantage of it tonight. And again, you got to set up reservations.
Yes.
Very important tip. And that's tip number 1 of this video, and that's make reservations if you're going to a specialty restaurant.
Especially if you want a particular time. So we did book it prior to the boat on the NCL app. If you don't do that, I would go straight to the desk when you get on the boat and book it. We were looking, there's a board that flashes times, and there were some times, up to 10 o'clock at night. It was like you were going to wait. So
what was weird is like at 10 o'clock, they were all super busy.
They were red. Yeah.
I don't know. There may be a gap between 8:30 and 9, but go figure. People eat dinner at 10 o'clock at night on a cruise boat, and it's busy at that time, nevertheless.
So where did we end up? What was our specialty restaurant?
Yeah, so it was a Brazilian, steakhouse.
called Moderna.
Moderna, and if you ever been to one, you would understand that it's really kind of a special. I mean, it's really a treat the way you go and eat, especially if you really like meat.
But there is a salad bar.
Go ahead.
So there is a salad bar. So we were greeted at the desk, and we were seated. Met our waiter, who was from
India.
Real
cool dude. I mean,
very nice. So you start off with the salad bar. So it's got soup, salad. It's got some little meats and cheese.
You had fried cheese, I think.
Oh, they had fried cheese. It was delicious. So you start off with that.
Yeah. I had some lobster bisque, which was actually quite good. But here's the thing, like, kind of makes sense. That's why they make the salad bar so good, because they want you to fill up on that before you get the meat, which we kind of did a little bit, but still had room to get as much meat as we could.
All right, so if you're not familiar with the Brazilian steakhouses, you get a little card when you check in, and one side's green, one side's red. Green means go. You're ready for more meat. Keep it coming.
Red
Flip
means
it over to red.
Red means I'm stuffed. Let me wait a minute. Let me digest my food a little bit.
And so the staff comes around with skewers, and they have the meat. They tell you what it is. Can be anywhere from poultry to pork to beef.
Lamb. They had some lamb.
They had some lamb.
They had some sausage as well.
Mm-hmm.
Not just meat cuts, but sausage.
Mm-hmm. So they come up. I think our first one was pork belly.
Oh my God, the pork belly was so good.
And so you say yes or no. And so since it's on skewers, you get the little tongs. And as they start cutting, you grab the piece that they're cutting. He finishes cutting through, and you put it on your plate.
Yeah, and think about it. You got this. It's got the base here, and it's a big skewer. Okay,
metal.
And they got meat that's all stacked on there, and that's how they cook it. But then that's the way they bring it out as well. Mm-hmm. And so you got meat on the skewer. So that's what Aaron was describing. They'll cut off a little piece. They got these little pinchers, or little, I don't know what you would call it, little pinchers, and you grab the meat. He makes a cut. You grab the meat you want, and he finishes a cut. And you got the meat, and you put it on. So you're not touching other people's meat, right? Not touching other people's food. So
yeah. So after
it's a neat concept.
It's a neat concept. So the variety that you get at a Brazilian steakhouse is awesome. I enjoyed it. I got my fill. I tried to go slow, but if you are a meat lover, this is the restaurant for you.
And so this is right next door to Cagney Steakhouse, and the meat quality. And I haven't gone to Cagney's, but I mean, I've eaten steakhouses, very nice ones before, and the quality of the meat in the steakhouse versus here is just the same. So you can go to a steakhouse and get a ribeye, you can get a New York strip or whatever it may be, or filet mignon. Mm-hmm. Okay, over at the Brazilian steakhouse, you get a filet mignon, you get a piece of it, and if you want another piece, you get another piece of it. But then you get all these other types of meat that is of that same quality, and variety is pretty cool. That's what we like. So,
so once they kept coming, and once we got our full, and we turned our little cards to red, they realized we were at the end of our eating that we could do. So the last thing that comes out on a skewer is a pineapple.
Yeah, it's like it's caramelized kind of pineapple. They put some sugar and honey,
brown
I think.
Sugar.
Brown sugar on the side, and they roast it like they do the other meats. So they come out and slice you a piece of that, and oh man, I'm gonna tell you what, that finishes you off in a good way.
But that's not dessert. Then they come with the dessert menu, and oh my goodness.
Yeah, I got like a rice pudding with fresh mango. That was pretty good too.
And it had mint for, they say you eat with your eyes, so they did a great job of presenting that. So all in all, that was a great experience.
Yeah, and we actually ended up talking with our waiter quite a lot longer probably than he should have. But a really, really cool dude. Like I say, he was from India, and he's been on the ship for a while, and he's getting ready to head up toward the East Coast where the ship's going in a number of weeks, up the Boston area.
I think before that, he goes on a cruise that stops in St. Thomas.
That's correct. That's correct. So he gets to go to the Caribbean, up in that area, Caribbean islands. So, and St. Thomas is right above where we were at in St. Croix. So I guarantee he'll have a great experience there. So after they got us a wheelbarrow and hauled us out of the Modernos, we decided we needed to do something. We couldn't. If we went to bed, we'd just be, bloated, miserable. So we needed to do something. So where do we go? We went to Spinnaker's. That's kind of our go-to here. We like the atrium and we like other places, but the Spinnaker seems to be a really cool place. And the bartender, I've got kind of talked a lot with him and had a good relationship. He takes care of us, and he's actually done a few custom things, drinks for us and that kind of thing. And so we decided to go there. And where did we go? About what time we do all that?
That was about 9 o'clock. By the time we got through eating at Moderno's, and lo and behold, our favorite band on board.
Upgrade. Yep. So we ended up sitting there from about 9 o'clock to midnight, or a little bit after, listening to Upgrade. But here's what's the cool thing.
They had three different sets. 3 different
genres that they were basically following. And the first one was
from about 9 to 9:45. It's called Get Groovy.
Some kind of dance music, some different kind of stuff, a little pop.
Then they took about a 15-minute break and came back at 10.
And did Motown. So they played some songs, a little bit older, back from the Motown era. Dance floor was hopping, boy. I wasn't dancing yet. But yeah, the dance floor was full. Everybody was having a great time. And then the final set, I guess they had the 11 o'clock party through the night, they call it. And I mean to tell you, they played some music that was outstanding. Don't know what music you like, but they played Leonard Skinner's Freebird. The lead guitar was just absolutely spot on, playing the live version that I'm used to hearing for Freebird. They played Deep Purple, Smoke on the Water. They played Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. In all of those, I mean, there's some rips with the guitars that's pretty sophisticated and pretty good. And man, this guy just nailed them. And he actually, at one point, we were having a ball at this point, so, and they were too. They kind of let their hair out, so to speak, because they had their.
It's long.
I think they're Filipinian, and they had their hair really, really long.
In ponytails.
Ponytails. But by the end of the night, man, they had all their hair hanging out, and they were rocking, and it was a great time.
He noticed you videoing.
Yeah, he noticed me videoing, and man, he came up in my face and played his guitar, ripping it. And then another point, the lead singer went out. He went out in the middle of the dance floor and spun him around while he was still playing. Just a fantastic show. Can't say more.
You can't say more. As you could hear, the different titles of the 3 different sets were all different.
Yeah.
Another night they played country night. They played country. I mean, I almost wanted to go ask them is there anything that they can't play.
Yeah, really. And play well. That's the difference. Yeah.
They're a very talented band. We have really enjoyed watching Upgrade.
Yeah, and again, I've mentioned in the previous episodes, NCL has had really good talent, especially these bands that play the Latin vibe. What was their name? Vamos.
They're playing tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna have to go check them out, man. They were really good. So there's a lot of good talent here that NCL's put on the ship, and we're just having a blast. We're gonna find Upgrade wherever they're playing, and go watch them and listen to them. And they've actually, it's kind of weird, there's actually kind of a cult. There's some other people, and they had a guest drummer. I have no idea who he used to play.
Whoever Kenny is.
I don't know if he used to play for some big band or not, but they allowed him to come up and he played a song on the drums. Had another guy came up next set. This was not in the last one, it was like the previous one, or previous to the first one they did. And had another guy come up and do a guest singing. So it was just a lot of fun. The crowd was really into it.
Well, and somebody came up and gave him a couple of bucks and had him sing "Happy Birthday" to somebody. That was the best "Happy Birthday."
I've never heard a better "Happy Birthday." They had obviously rehearsed it and played it before.
Yeah.
Like I said, this band was spot on. By the end of the night, everybody had let their hair out, and it was a great time.
Yep. And the fun thing was it had there was all age groups at the bar, and they stayed for each set, and we had all age. I mean, I'm telling you,
from
some of
25 up to 75,
I think, and they were on the dance floor.
Yeah.
They were just had the vibe and the fun and wanting everybody just felt like going and having a good time. So they shut down. We shut it down. They shut it. The crowd shut down at about midnight.
And I will say that they did stop. They were supposed to stop at 11:45, and everybody in the crowd was screaming, "One more, one more!" Mm-hmm. We're gonna play one more. So they played one more song. So that's the kind of fun it was.
It was. So, like I said, about that time it was midnight, and it was time for everybody to head on to their rooms and get to sleep.
Absolutely, because we have a big day tomorrow, and I guess we're going to be on a sea day tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
And during sea days, there's always a lot to do. They kind of orientate a lot of the activities around sea days.
Mm-hmm.
There's more things that are going on. There's bingo hopefully going on. I think we got to look. On these sea days, they usually do a bingo session, which we won. If you check previous episodes, we won one round of that and got a little bit of money.
Well, the big thing for us that's set, we have two things. So at 1:30, our little face group, we did the meet and greet, we did the slot pull, and tomorrow at 1:30 we're meeting in Spinnaker for the poker run. So we're gonna hit some bars, grab a card, get a drink, and so there's 5 different stops. So I can't wait for that.
Yeah, and there's the idea behind that is, again, you have 5 different bars you're going to hit. At each one you go and somebody's there with a deck of cards. Everybody goes and gets a drink, whatever the bar makes, right? Everybody gets a drink, starts drinking it. You go and you pick a card. They fill in on a little card that you have with your room number and so forth. Then you go to the next bar, the next bar, the next bar. Then you go back to the Spinnaker where it started, and you draw your 5th card. And it's just a fun way. We met some additional people. We just had a fun, had good conversation with people we didn't know, and that's always fun to do. Is just meet people and and have a good time together.
Yep. So looking forward to the sea day tomorrow.
Hey, again, thanks for watching, guys. Hope you're appreciating giving you some insight on the NCL Panama Canal 11-day cruise. And don't forget to put some comments down below. And we'd love to hear your experiences with NCL, and anything specific about the video that we're talking about, or any questions that you may have. Mm-hmm. So thanks for watching, and as always, we will see you on the next video.